Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we are going to be doing the JAN-UARY book tag. If you don't know who Jan is, she's a bookstagrammer, she's also a booktuber. She just hit 11K followers on BookTube, so congratulations girl if you're watching. Every single January, she kind of plays off of her name and hosts this January book tag that kind of recaps our past reading year and gets us motivated for the next year. So this book tag has 10 different questions for you to answer. I have them all typed up on my laptop over here, so if I'm looking down, that is why, because I can't keep all of my answers up here, especially when I'm trying to think of books that I read a year ago. That's just not gonna happen, sis. But I am ready for this book tag and I just thought it would be a fun one to participate in the new year. So question number one is, what was the last and first, if you remember, book that you read last year? So the first book that I read in 2024 was actually With Love from Cold World by Alicia Thompson. Her covers, whoever is the designer of her covers, absolutely amazing. They seriously knock it out of the park every single time. This takes place at a tourist destination called Cold World. It's basically a winter wonderland come to life. The concept is super cute. This is a romance between two co-workers. I just remember there was a third act. It was a little bit too long of a romance in my opinion. I'm pretty sure this was close to 400 pages. Yes, it's 384 pages according to Goodreads. So it was just a little bit on the lengthier side. Things were kind of dragging, wasn't really wrapping up too quick. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. Then the last book that I read in 2024 was an ARC at the time, but today is actually its publication day, the day that I'm filming this, and it's called The Business Trip by Jessie Garcia. You're quite literally thrown into this thriller, into the character's brain of a mastermind manipulator. In my review for this one on Instagram, I said, you know when you're 40,000 feet up in the air and you get those little bag of pretzels from the flight attendant? When you eat those, there's always crumbs left everywhere. Think about those crumbs in each chapter of this book. Each chapter read almost like a James Patterson. There were crumbs left everywhere. There were hints, there were details that you almost could miss if you weren't paying close enough attention. I can see this being a new favorite for a lot of people, but it just wasn't for me. At times I forgot that this was an adult thriller instead of like a new adult, young adult thriller. The writing just seemed a little bit cheesy in my opinion. Coincidentally enough, I also gave this one 3 stars, so I started and ended last year with both 3 stars. And that leads us into the second question, asking what was our first read of 2025? Now hopefully we can change this so I end 2025 on a good note, because besties, we did not start off on a good foot. My first read of the year was an ARC, and it was an ARC of Save Me Stranger by Erica Krause. Krause? Not sure how to say that last name. This was a collection of 12 different short stories that pretty much redefine what it means to survive. What sold me on this in the blurb before requesting it was the locations of each of these short stories. Think about like sex shops in Bangkok. That's kind of a funny sentence. Working on an ice cream truck in gang territory, to the literal coldest town in the world. When I read about all these locations in the blurb, I immediately was like, sign me up. I think these are gonna be some of the most unique short stories that I've ever read. And while they were unique, they were also disgusting. Not disgusting in like a weird girl lit way. More so it was stretching the meaning of humanity. We were diving into the differences between humor and hurt, hope and despair. They were heavy, and all of these short stories ended really abruptly, so I guess expect that before heading into them, because none of my friends have previously read this. I was the first one, so I didn't really know what to expect. At first I gave this a 3-star rating, but then I just got thinking about it, so I lowered it to a 2.5. I know that's a little bit low, but besides the settings, I didn't really take much from this. The third question is to share 3 of your reading goals for this year. Of course, my Goodreads reading goal is going to be one of them, and that is to read 52 books. Although I did read 156 books last year, I always set my reading goal at 52 no matter what. 52 is a book a week, obviously, and it never stresses me out. Reading is my favorite hobby, and I don't ever want to feel any stress or create any problems in my life because I'm not reading enough enough or I'm reading too much, I know I'm more than likely to hit it. So 52 is just a good number for me. And that leads into my second goal of the year. I want to continue reading with no pressure. I know a lot of besties on Bookstagram always talk about how they feel pressure to read certain books. They have to read the popular books. They have to hit their reading goal each year. They have to. I have never really felt pressure from social media or other people in my life to read certain things. And social media is just a place for me to talk about something that I love with people that I love, and I never want the flip side to hit me and affect me where I feel pressure to read certain things. And my third goal for the year is to review every single book that I read. I made this a goal for myself in 2024 and I breezed past it. I came up with a system that works for me. When I'm getting to the end of the book or I'm at the end of the book, I start typing up my review right away. When I do that, I have all the thoughts fresh in my mind, and if I change my opinion on something, I can obviously go back and change the review. But if I do it as soon as I'm done, it basically gives my brain a way to recap and take in everything that I just read, so I will have a space where I can write about it and talk about it with you guys. Question number 4 is to share 3 of your most anticipated titles. If you know me, I could probably talk about this prompt for hours, so picking 3 was really difficult. I kind of just picked 3 out of a hat in my brain, and those are the 3 that I chose to talk about right now. The first one I have is The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. Now, this author is hit or miss for me. I either love his books or I despise them, like 2 stars despise them. I didn't read his recently published that just came out last year. I can't think of the name of it. Something about serial killers or I am a serial killer. I saw a bunch of mixed reviews for that one and I kind of concluded that it wasn't going to be for me. But this Buffalo Hunter one, okay guys, I have a thing for buffaloes. I'll just say that. I've liked them since I was a little girl. I like buffaloes, so this cover spoke to me on a deep level. The blurb says, a chilling historical horror novel set in the American West in 1912, following a Lutheran priest, one of my buzzwords, who transcribes the life of a vampire who haunts the fields of the Blackfeet Reservation looking for justice. Those were 3 of my buzzwords in a single blurb. A priest, a vampire, and like an Indian reservation. I fear my expectations have just gotten too high, but I will definitely be picking this one up. I know my dad is going to be watching this video, and when he hears me blurb that, he's going to be just as intrigued. I just looked, it is 448 pages. That is a long book. Yeah, I'm absolutely going to have to pick this one up, but heading into the second anticipated title for 2025, it is Finley Donovan Digs Her Own Grave by Elle Cosimano. I have read every single book in the series. I got my dad hooked on them. This is the 5th book, which is kind of crazy because everything kind of wrapped up in a way in the first 4. So I'm very interested how the story is going to continue within the 5th book. And I know she has like 2 more books signed with the publisher to continue this series. For the most part, I like going into these Finley books blind. This one just says Finley Donovan may have skeletons in her closet, but at least there's not a body in her backyard. And from the little hints that we got at the end of book 4, I think I know whose backyard it's in. Then the third one comes out on June 3rd of 2025, so a summer release, and it is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I feel like it's been a while since we've gotten a new Taylor Jenkins Reid. This cover is stunning. You can see the reflection of a rocket taking off in this character's sunglasses. So immediately I'm intrigued. It's about space and maybe, what are those called? Space. What the hell do you call, what is it called when you go up to space? What are astronaut? Jesus. It's been a long day, okay? The blurb just says, an epic new novel set against the backdrop of the 1980s space shuttle program about the extraordinary lengths we go to live and love beyond our limits. So it sounds like this is also going to be a romance with a backdrop set in like a space mission or NASA's space shuttle program. Whatever it ends up being, I am so excited to read this, and I really hope, crossing my fingers, that it's one of the book of the month selections. The 5th question is, which goals did you reach or not reach last year? Like I was saying earlier, I don't set many goals on myself. I keep them simple. I keep them to ones that I know I'm going to complete. So basically, I can say I completed all of them. The only thing that really comes to mind is perhaps I could have read more backlist titles from my physical TBR. That's always a number that I'm trying to decrease instead of increase, but when we have all of these exciting and anticipated books coming out in the new year, how can you not add them to your shelves? So yeah, I pretty much did everything that I set to do, and I hope I can take that into this next reading year. The next question is number 6, and it says, are there any new releases you've heard of that you have no desire to read? Yeah, I'm sure. The 2 authors that immediately came to mind were the new romances that might have already came out in January, I'm not sure, but it's the next book in the cheat sheet series by Sarah Adams, Beg, Borrow, and Steal. I'll put it up on the screen. I know there's a lot of hype around Sarah Adams. I have never read a Sarah Adams romance. I've just never really felt the urge to. There is one that I was kind of curious about. I think it was called When in Rome. So maybe one day I'll pick that up. I'm not sure, but I'm not really interested in starting a new companion romance series right now. And then the other author that came to mind was the new Chloe Leese romance release, Something Smitten, I think. I'll put it up on the screen. I don't even know the whole title to that book, but I read the first book in this series a couple years ago when it came out, and I just didn't like it. I felt so strange not liking it because a lot of my friends love this series. I am happy that they found a romance author that speaks to them and that they like, but her writing and her stories are just simply not ones for me. Number 7 says, what are some reading habits that you want to change this year, if any? Honestly, none. I'm vibing over here. I'm cozy. Yeah. I'm happy in what I'm doing. I'm happy in the content I'm creating, and I don't really have anything that I would change on my end. The next question is, are there any adaptations you're excited about? No. No, not really. If you know me, I am not a movie watcher. I'm not really a TV watcher. It's once in a blue moon that I will actually sit down and watch a movie. I don't really watch any adaptations of any of the books that I read. The only one that kind of intrigues me is Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. My dad just got me that book for Christmas. The author is local to around the area I'm from, so that might be interesting, although my good friend Lindsay from Bookstagram watched the adaptation and she said it's a no-go. She said it's not worth it, so I probably won't watch it, but I'm just putting this out there in case, you know, I might report back one day and say that I finally watched an adaptation. It might be that one. Question 9 is, what are your favorite bookish memories from last year? Can I say the entire year? The entire year as a whole was just so good bookish wise. I accomplished pretty much all my goals. I made a bunch of new friends over on Bookstagram. If you don't follow me on there, same username as it is on here. I'm active on there every single day. I love that community that I have created over in my cozy little corner of the internet. I have joined the Macmillan Audio Influencer program. I have loved being part of that. I get 4 advanced audiobook copies per month, and if you know me, I love a good audiobook, so I am absolutely thrilled that I got to take part of that for their 2024 season. I got to buddy read so many books with my dad. That was definitely a highlight, and a big highlight was getting my mom her first library card ever. She just picked up reading in 2024. She ended up reading like 200 books, which is absolutely insane, mind-blowing if you ask me, for her first ever year reading. The fact that she got that library card like at the end of January and accomplished that goal through audiobooks, absolutely crazy. Mom, if you ever want to read any spooky books, you know the gal to come to for a recommendation. Then the final question of the Jan-UARY book tag is, do you have any carryovers from last year that I plan on finishing? Again, not really. I finished the arc of the business trip either on the 30th or 31st of December. I'm not really sure which date, but I didn't carry over anything. I started reading on the 1st of the year, knocked out that audiobook collection, and we took off with our reading goal for 2025. If you consider carryovers backlist books from my physical TBR, I will definitely say that. But just to justify myself, not that I need to justify myself to you guys, but to justify myself in this very moment. Today is January 14th, on the day that I'm filming this. I had like like 7 or 8 anticipated books for the year come out on this single day alone. Authors are simply just coming for my money right now. It's so hard when all these books come out on the same day because I feel like damage is being done. There is no feeling like damage is being done. But you know what? That's okay. That's just the life of being a reader. It simply is, and I wouldn't change it for anything. Just like that, we have already completed the Jan-UARY book tag. How many times can I say Jan-UARY without you guys rolling your eyes? I'll say it one more time. Check out Bookish Bestie Jan below. She makes some of the most fun reading vlogs, reading content, anything you could ask for, you can find it on her channel. I would love to see some of you guys participate in this tag as well. If you do, be sure to tag me so I can check out your video. With that, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I'm in my booktube era. We are back, baby. Like the video, comment down below, all the YouTube things you know how to do, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya!